We're going to be looking at example 8 in your section 3.1 notes. So this time we're going to start with a more complicated side that involves the sine, and we're going to work down to the less complicated side that involves the secant and the tangent. Okay, so one thing to start off here is to go ahead and do a common denominator. Okay, so our common denominator is going to be the 1 plus sine x, okay, times the 1 minus sine x. Okay, so I see that this side needs a 1 minus sine x, so that means I'm going to have another 1 minus sine x up here. Okay, and then this side did not have the 1 plus sine x, so I'm going to have that join the 1 plus sine x that is already there. Okay, next up, we're gonna work out the numerator, so we're gonna do a little foiling. Okay, so we'll get a 1, and then we're gonna have a minus sine x and another minus sine x, so that'll be minus 2 of them. And then a negative times a negative, we'll get a positive sine squared. Okay. All right, on this one, we have to be real careful because we have this negative, so when we multiply, we get 1, but it's really a negative 1. Okay, we'd have a sine x and a sine x, so that's 2 of them, because in the negative, we're gonna get a negative 2. Okay, and then the ln FOIL will get a sine squared, but because of the negative, we'll get a minus sine squared. Okay, and that's all over the denominator. We can go ahead and FOIL that out as well. So when I do that, I'm going to get a 1. We're going to get a negative sign with a positive, so those will cancel. So we'll end up with the last term in the FOIL is sine squared. Okay. All right, so some good things happen at this stage. The 1 cancels with a negative 1. The sine squared cancels with a negative sine squared. We can add these two terms, so we're going to get a negative 4 sine x. Okay, looking good because we want a negative 4 here. And then we need a Pythagorean identity for this guy right here. Okay, so if we go off to the side and remember that we have the sine squared plus cosine squared is equal to 1. We can rearrange this and see that the cosine squared is 1 minus the sine squared expression. So we're going to replace that denominator with cosine squared. Okay, so we're pretty much there. We just need to do a little bit of separating out so that we can see that we're at our answer. Okay, so we already said we have the negative 4 part, okay? So cosine, I'm going to write one of them like this, 1 over cosine, and then I'm going to write the other part like this, sine over cosine. Okay, I haven't changed anything. I've just rearranged it so we can see that we have the answer. So we still have cosine squared on the denominator. We still have the negative 4. We still have sine x in the numerator. Okay, but now I know that I'm here because 1 over cosine is secant, and sine over cosine is tangent. That completes example 8.